Welcome to the albums that saved us. This week's album is Double Platinum from Kiss. It's a new format this week, the Ben Jen Frasca Remix Memorial format in honor of Ben Jen Frasca. Some reworking, some expansion, and I'm actually recording this standing up, so hopefully I don't fall over, but motion breeds emotion, and maybe this will help with a little bit of the energy. And then first off, a shout out this week to the fabulous Little Richard. Without Little Richard, there'd be no Kiss, and there'd be few of the albums overall that saved us. He'd love to let us know that, but it was true. He was a groundbreaker, innovator, and the architect of rock and roll. He called himself the first black artist the white kids listened to, and it was probably true. He talked about how at his shows, the white folk would be upstairs and the white kids would be jumping over the balconies to come down and dance with the black kids. The only one he ever admitted who upstaged him was Jimi Hendrix, who was in his band for a bit. But rest in peace, Little Richard. In the 70s, Kiss blurred the lines between theatrical rock and glam, the wicked stepchildren of Alex Cooper and the New York Dolls. Their loud music and theatrics drew in teenage boys everywhere, or maybe it was the costumes, personas, makeup, fire, and explosions. I don't know. Paul Stanley was the star man and the singer and rhythm guitar player. Ace Frehley was the spaceman and on lead guitar. Gene Simmons was the fire-spewing and blood-spitting demon bass player and occasional vocalist. Finally, the drummer of the Catman was Peter Criss. Kiss first played live in 1973, got a manager that night, and were signed to the disco dance label Casablanca Records a few weeks later, and they released their debut album in 1974. I discovered Kiss in 1976 on the Paul Lynde Halloween special. Their fans accused them of selling out, but this was a move that exposed them to a bunch of kids like me. Loud, fast, explosive, they were the heavy metal of the time. And I remember watching them come out and play Detroit Rock City. I was hooked. After that, it seemed like they were everywhere. I was staying with my divorced biological namesake dad at the time, and it must have been his weekend. If this wasn't the case, maybe I wouldn't have seen Kiss. He was a fan too, and I remember his Kiss 8 tracks in his 70s muscle car. My bio dad had a lot of lady friends, and I had a lot of aunts at the time. A lot of my new aunts had kids of their own, most of them sons. And I remember a lot of listening to Kiss in basements while my aunt of the moment and their new uncle were upstairs hanging out. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll, baby. I remember a lot of the cool album artwork from Kiss and a lot of cool extras like the cardboard love gun, not necessarily modeled after Paul Stanley's love gun. Worth a lot on eBay right now. So Double Platinum came out in 1978, and my bio dad gave me the double cassette for my 8th birthday. Literally the gift that keeps on giving. And Double Platinum, double cassette. I had a little bad portable tape recorder that sounded terrible, and it was my only option to listen to my new cassettes. These were the first cassettes I had. I might have also gotten the Village People's Macho Man cassette that birthday too. I largely went the way of Kiss instead of the way of the Village People, at least at the time, but I could rock me some Macho Man. It helped that Kiss were big at the time, and I had friends that were into Kiss, even my temporary cousins. I remember listening to Kiss gathered around many a friend's little record player. I remember seeing the Kiss dolls advertised on TV, and I remember the first run on TV of Kiss versus the Phantom of the Park. Kiss on TV, even acting. I think it was around the time of the Star Wars Christmas special, which was really bad. Kiss's makeup gave them a mystique other bands didn't have. Who were the men behind the makeup? Sometimes photos leaked in the tablets of the supposed members of Kiss without makeup, but they still were mysterious. They'd put their hand up or duck their heads in a no paparazzi mode. I remember when they went through the whole Kiss Unmasked gimmick, which was tied into early MTV to revitalize their career, but I'd largely moved on from Kiss by then, so kind of didn't care. So Double Platinum was probably much like the Parents on the Paul Lynde Show, a ploy by the record label to get the band exposure into new audiences. The early existing fans and the band weren't really pleased with the results. The song choices are a bit inconsistent and even different styles from different producers. Some were apparently originally recorded in mono. A lot of the tracks were remixed and remastered with little consultation from the band. The opening track, Strutter 78, was a reworking of the Kiss hit Strutter, an attempt to sound disco. Whatever the intention of the album, pulling together some Kiss hits and deeper cuts, I think it worked, at least with me. I listened to it over and over. Going back now and looking at the track list, it seemed like I focused on a relatively shorter list of songs, leaning much towards the rockers. It was a double cassette, and maybe I just listened to the A-sides and not the B-sides of the cassettes. Double Platinum opens with one of my favorite Kiss tracks, kicking in with heavy drums, Strutter 78, the arguably new track on the album to get the completest Kiss fans to buy it. This is definitely one of my favorite Kiss tracks, but it's one of those songs where if you're 8, you don't know what the hell they're singing about. Like with AC/DC, is it literal, figurative, or both? I mean, now that I'm 50, I've had a few Strutters in my time. I know a thing or two about her. I know she's going to make me cry. She lets me walk the streets beside her, but when she wants, she'll pass me by. But when you're 8, you probably don't know a Strutter, unless you a player. And I don't even know if I'm a player now. Now that I think about it, I want to know a Strutter, even a Strutter 78. I've always loved Do You Love Me, another track opening with pounding drums. Bass, snare, bass, bass, snare, bass, snare, bass, bass, snare. You really like my limousine. You like the way the wheels roll. Sounds like Cher. I'd never even seen a limousine at the time, and I can see why she'd like it, or anybody would. I mean, I want to ride in a limo with Kiss, too. It's one part rock fantasy where there's limousines, 7-inch leather heels, shows, credit cards, private planes, sunglasses, and backstage passes, but do you love me? It's easy to get groupies, but tough to get love. Girls do like boys in bands, even drummers, I've heard. Hard Luck Woman has always been kind of a momentum killer for me on this album. Open with 2 biggies, and then this kind of kills the vibe early on, but it soon kicks back in with Calling Dr. Love. Her boys are back. It's the Kiss we know and love. Dr. Love has the cure you're thinking of. No bills, no fees. Just get down on your knees. You can't resist Dr. Love, and the first step of the cure is a kiss, interestingly enough. Let Me Go Rock and Roll is a Hard Luck Woman for me, but after that, the shit really kicks in, baby, with some more rockers about love or just sex, depending upon whether you're 8 or 50. Love Gun. Paul Stanley wants you to know you've pulled the trigger of his love gun, and there's no getting away from it. Again, a cardboard cutout in the single sleeve likely doesn't do it justice, but hope it's shooting blanks because it does sound dangerous. No place for hiding, baby. No place to run. You pull the trigger of my love gun. God of Thunder is a staple of the live show for Gene Simmons. I think this is the one where he rises on the platform, spits fire and blood. Is he the God of Thunder or the demon? We don't know. God of Thunder, dun, dun, and rock and roll. The spell you're under will slowly rob you of your virgin soul. Terrifying, obviously. Firehouse and Hotter Than Hell are typical Kiss rockers, but have always been in my tops. More songs about dangerous women. That Strutter is back. I've always liked these lyrics, and they make more sense since I've been there more than once between 8 and 50. And you'll need her, so you'll feed her with your endless dedication. And the quicker you get sicker, she'll remove your medication. Damn it. That girl, that lady, that Strutter. I think I wondered if it was all the same woman throughout these songs. The Strutter. You better watch out for her. Your mom warned you about her. Your dad's proud when you bring her home, though. He sheds a tiny little tear of proudness. Of course, she'll break your heart, but we should just move on. Hotter Than Hell. Oh, I'm seeing a theme here. She looked good. She looked hotter than hell. You know where this goes, and you know she's gonna leave you well done. Indeed, the Strutter, the heartbreaker. From here, we move into some more Kiss classics. It's kicking in now, baby, and I hope I don't have to tell you what I Want You is about. Deuce, Detroit Rock City, by far one of Kiss's best songs, and the first Kiss song I ever heard. Here it's very reworked and shortened from the original album and even single version. If I was going to intro you to Kiss, I'd probably play you Detroit Rock City and Rock and Roll All Night, the ultimate Kiss anthem. Kiss's Stairway to Heaven, their Freebird. The anthem to rock and roll all night and party every day. We all can sing it and we all want to do it. I'm sure Strutter and her friends are there, by the way, and we really, really, really want to know if they love us. Dude, Beth, maybe the first rock ballad. I don't know, it was Kiss's first top 10 hit and so out of left field for them. It was Peter Criss, the drummer, singing, throwing the drummer a bone. I mean, we do hold it all together for the rest of the band. You guys show up and plug in. We got to lug our drums, our stands, our cymbals. No, we got it. Just hang over there with Strutter and her friends. We're fine. We'll break it down and fit it back in the car, too, at the end of the show. No worries. Tell Strutter we said hello. But back to Beth. I hear you, baby, but the boys are calling. What can I do? The Rock is calling, baby. I love you, but The Rock. And I don't mean Dwayne Johnson. By the way, Strutter's probably in there. Don't be a Yoko, Beth. Honestly, from their Cold Gin and Black Diamond are solid songs, but not the Kiss I love of like Strutter, Do You Love Me, Calling Dr. Love, Firehouse, Hotter Than Hell, and so on. Double Platinum's always been my favorite Kiss album and also the only Kiss album I've owned. I'm familiar with some of the other hits and know of some of the other albums, but I can't really compare Double Platinum to other Kiss albums. I know a lot of fans hate it, and I've gotten a lot of grief for liking it, and the band hates it, but I like what I like, and like I said, it was good Kiss exposure for me. The gimmick of packaging hits and deeper cuts together to intro the new fans to the band worked for me. I've never seen Kiss live, but I'd love to. I think they're on the retirement tour, so I probably won't get the chance. I've seen live concert videos, and it seems like they'd put on a good show. Oh well. But Kiss's influences are obvious. The theatrics of Alice Cooper, the glam of the New York Dolls. Kiss have had a long career. They've influenced a ton of bands and have also been contemporaries of many of the bands that they've influenced. The obvious influences are the hair metal bands, especially bands like Cinderella, Poison, Twisted Sister, Quiet Riot, but they've surely influenced other heavy metal bands like Motley Crue, Guns N' Roses, even Van Halen. Kiss surely influenced the size and scope of live shows with their theatrics and their stage shows. Early on, when Kiss were coming up in the clubs, they'd invest everything back into the live show and play every show like it was the biggest show of their career, in the biggest venue of their career, with the effects, the smokes, the lights, the pyrotechnics. If you like Kiss and you aren't familiar with influences like Alice Cooper and the New York Dolls, check them out. I'd lean more towards glam rock too if you're interested. 70s Bowie, T-Rex, Mott the Hoople, Sweet. Sprinkle in maybe a little Roxy music. If you need heavier, go with early Van Halen and then the Los Angeles hair bands like Poison, Motley Crue, so on. And obviously, again, Twisted Sister. So that's my take on Kiss's Double Platinum. Very influential album for me and a very early on favorite I played over and over. Taught me everything I know about love and women. Oh, just kidding. Kind of. Well, maybe to be wary of Strutter and groupies. Let me know if you've got anything to add, if you disagree, or whatever. Thanks for listening to the Albums That Saved Us, and thanks to Anchor for helping me get started. Visit my sponsors, and if you're inclined to donate to help the cause, maybe I'll buy a record or something. You can listen to the Albums That Saved Us anywhere you listen to your favorite podcasts, and please tell your friends that are into music. Find me at #AlbumsThatSavedUs. Email me at albumsthatsavedus@gmail.com with feedback, criticism, ideas, albums, bands you want to hear talk about, photos. I don't know. Join the conversation on Facebook at facebook.com/albumsthatsaveduspodcast. And there's a Facebook group as well. On Twitter at twitter.com/albumsthatsaved. On Instagram at albumsthatsavedus. On TikTok at albumsthatsavedus. And on YouTube at albumsthatsavedus. Have any album suggestions? Again, bands you want to talk about? Let me know. I don't know what's coming up next week. I probably haven't decided yet. And again, if you like Albums That Save Us, please also help spread the word. Share the links, tell some friends, call in and leave a comment or question. Thanks very much. See you next time.